what do you think is the real reason why we're not diving into? I mean, he's right up 95, and he's a unanimous MVP at one point. What are your thoughts?
I think that two things: cost and availability. I think are the two things that's happening here. So one of the things when it comes to cost to acquire him is they say, okay, so you place the franchise tag on that the compensation must be 2 first-round picks. That's at a minimum. The Ravens aren't going to accept that, right, to lose this guy. So what it's going to cost in draft capital to get this guy, I feel like their concerns are, it's just going to be too much for us to give up. We're not going to be able to build for the future. Kind of like what happened with RG3. We gave up all those picks and then we got the guy, but it was very difficult to build around him. And, Mike Shanahan said that was a regret as owner. So I think that's part of it. But then it comes down to cost of what it's going to take to pay him, and the fact that we've got an owner right now. While he did pay Deron Payne, he's not, he doesn't want to spend a whole lot of money out there, and so it could be someone else's. But, the other ownership, if a new owner comes in, that may be a charge for them. I'll be honest. I think it's garbage. I think we should be going after him. I do. I don't feel like Lamar is necessarily going to bring a Super Bowl, but he's 26 years old.
Yep.
He's an electric player. He would put fans in the seats.
Right.
I mean, this is he's a Pro Bowl player. This is the type of guy you want to go out. You want to sell the farm to.
Right.
And we're just like, no, we like our 5th-round draft pick. We're going to go with the 5th-rounder. That's what we think is the way to win. So that's why, I'm kind of here going like, knowing that we don't have what it takes to get him, but I am kind of like, this, of all the people we've ever overspent for, this is a guy to go do that. And we're, like all the other teams, we're passing on him.
Right. Now let me ask you, are you at all worried about his injury history? And the reason why I put quotations in is because last year he might have been injured, but I think he was more kind of playing the game to try to get the contract. The year before, yes, he's had injuries, but again, like you mentioned, this is a unanimous MVP at one point. This guy is in his prime. He's young. He doesn't have to go far. We're going to play that type of offense. Is that injury history really the big deal? Because remember with RG3, that was the case. That's what everybody used to tell me, is that forever great he is, for however talented he is, he can't stay on the field. He's too brittle, the injury problem, so he's not a good quarterback. And then I was just like, anybody can get hurt, but for him to now not be a good quarterback as a result of this injury, and then they said, oh well, he runs around a lot, and then he can get hurt more. Personally, if I'm standing in the pocket and I get a guy running at me at, fast pace and hitting me, I think that might get me hurt a little bit more than if I'm able to kind of maneuver around. But that's me personally. So is this injury history really the big part of this, or?
I think it plays a factor. I mean, you certainly have to if you're going to spend that much money or you're going to rely on a starting quarterback, and he's missed over 5 games 2 years in a row. It's something to be concerned about. I think it would kind of depend on how are you planning to use him. Now, I'm not advocating to turn him into a drop-back passer. You need to use his strengths, but if you're signing him for a 3 or 4 year deal because he's only 26, great. I'm not saying if you sign him for a 10-year deal, no, he doesn't play the style that fits that. But if you notice in free agency, some of these contracts got a little bit smaller. They're giving the players a chance to have another free agency. We signed Curtis Samuel into a 3-year deal, so he's going to be under 30, and he's up again for free agency. So if we were to offer Lamar a 3 or 4 year deal, I wouldn't be worried about the injuries because it's just a 3 or 4 year. Let's go for it.
I agree. I feel like that it's a good option to have, and we could go for it, but realistically, we're seeing it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Ron he talked about it, and he just said it doesn't look like we're just not in the place to do that. And look, the direction that it appears that they're going is obviously my guy Sam Howell. You bring in a backup in Jacoby Brissett. We're going to kind of talk about maybe we should look in the draft for a number 3 guy. You know, we're kind of not going. That's a move that we would have had, in my opinion, we would have made into the season, kind of going into even before free agency. Like we're
Yes.
really sitting here talking to him. I mean, we're like I said, we're right up 95, so we could have really kind of started to really groom him and all that stuff. We haven't looked like we're going in that direction at all. And hey, and it might be the best. It might be the best for us, you know.
Well, see, this is where I get so frustrated with our messaging, because you're right. Like, based on the way our roster is constructed and the way this is happening right now, it's not a time for us to be going after him. But like, for Ron to say like, well, we're in roster building mode and it's not in the cards for us to put that much draft capital in someone. You paid Ryan Fitzpatrick $20 million. You went out and traded for Carson Wentz and gave up picks and paid him $28 million. And you won't go get Lamar Jackson? Like, what the, Sean?
Right.
Come on. So that's my little bit like, what are we doing here? Like, look at giving quarter a try, and here's someone who is a known commodity, and we're like, that price tag's too high for me, you know. But if they would have just come out to say, hey, listen, the way we are building this team is to have play a contract, a quarterback on a rookie contract, so we can add other pieces, and that prevents us from going after the contract like it would take. I would prefer that type of transparency instead of what the garbage that they gave out. At least Martin Mayhew in his press conference, he was like, we are not going after him. You know, we've had conversations, we talked about it, but we are not going after him. At least he said that. But Ron's answer was kind of like, come on, give me a break.
Yeah, man, come on. We could read between the lines, Ron. We know you messed up 2 years in a row getting quarterbacks that didn't play more than 5 total games, right? And then also, I think we have to look at like what you were talking about. The guys are getting shorter contracts, but think about the 2 big name guys that got picked up last year. You get Deshaun Watson, who gets all the guaranteed. Kyler gets paid with all the guaranteed. Then you got Russell Wilson gets all that money and all those trades. Are we hearing anything about the Cardinals, the Browns, or the Broncos? Nothing. It's all turmoil over there. So not saying that's what would happen with him coming over here, but it's a hefty price to say, I think he's going to do great, and I'm expecting him to do great, but it's still a gamble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at.